First of all, it's important to know that Russian propaganda started much earlier, because actually the system was built up after the communists in the Soviet Union came to powers 100 years ago. So this system of lies and misleadings, misdirections, and all this disinformation has been built since, I don't know, 1917, that sort of. And during the Soviet times, the propaganda was developing. I'm telling so because I was growing up in this situation, right? And then all of a sudden, when we became independent, everybody knew the truth. So the truth was disclosed, and we saw that it was all lies in cold blood, just from everywhere, not a single word of truth. So they don't like the man, they don't like the country, they don't like someone, just tell something, really wrong and really bad about him. And then all the nations start hating it, right? So when we became independent 30 years ago, Russia actually inherited these traditions of propaganda because it has never been free. It has always been a country of slavery and slaves and emperors and kings, right? Unlike Ukraine. We've experienced many wars during our history. We've been fighting with Russia for 300 years, regularly, like time by time. The last big fight was during the Second World War. It started in 1939 and ended in 1953, maybe, long after the war. So people still fighting with the communist regime. And now the last time we were under attack was 2014. It was a big attack and big assault on the east. Well, 15,000 people died. Millions moved from their houses and left their homes. Millions were just moved from the motherland, from the Tanah. And now, after these 8 years of occupation of part of our territory, now people got ready. And they really understood that it is very important not to panic, because in 2014 it was really totally unexpected and many people panicked, and this actually led to very bad consequences. I mean the occupation of Crimea, I mean the occupation of part of Donbass, because people were panicking and just running, and not all of course, but many. And many people appeared to be traitors. They just stand on the position of commander and they say, okay, I surrender, Russians come. So that was really a bad experience. So now we learned how to do this. Panic never helps. Remain calm. If you want to evacuate, if you want to move, just do it in very calm manner, in order. And then by the way, I'm glad to deliver that the Indonesian nationals were evacuated successfully to the border of Romania. So it was arranged by the operation by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, by the Minister of Interior, by the police, and by the Embassy of Indonesia in Kiev. So in this fight, so no panic. If we panic, we already lose. We've lost. Only if you stay calm, you have a chance. Because to explain it, to make it clear, right? I have PhD in world history, so I did it 20 years ago, and I was researching the newest period of world history, beginning of the 20th century to the end of the Second World War, right? So I looked very closely at Nazi Germany, at China, invaded by Japan at that time, right? At the Soviet Union and all this stuff. So I looked very closely, read a lot of books and read a lot of real manuscripts, right? Because you can read analysis of Adolf Hitler's books, but in fact you have to read it to understand what he meant. So the Nazi Germany propaganda, which was the a good teachers for Mr. Putin and all the Soviet system actually for the communists. What they say, I'm just citing, right? Make the propaganda, make our lies outrageous. Make it look like as if it never can be trusted. Make it unbelievable. And then people will believe it. Because if you tell the small lies and say people can, could be. But if you tell that, we are this and this and this, people say, that cannot be true. It's like, it's unbelievable, it's outrageous. And then everybody believes it. What happened in Ukraine 8 years ago? Russia sent the terrorist groups of well-trained militaries to the east on Ukraine. And not only to the east, to the biggest cities like Kharkiv, like Dnipro, like Zaporizhia, like with million population, the big ones. In Odessa also. And they try to provoke people to for rebellion, right? To raise and just knock down the powers. But people didn't react, and all those people were just captured or killed. Only in the eastern part of Ukraine, like Donetsk and Lugansk, they succeeded. And then they started the military raid, from city to city, starting to do, provoking, starting making terrorist activities, blowing up the offices, blowing up the power stations, all that stuff. And then the anti-terrorist operation started. We sent the troops, of militia, of police, to surround them and to either capture or something. And then when it was about nearly finished, when there were not much people left of the Russian terrorists, Russian militaries came into Ukraine, and within few days, a few thousand people were just killed by the cannons and the missiles. And of course, to the line where Russian troops reached, it became the occupied territories since then. So now these territories are not under control of Ukraine. We really don't know, in fact, what happens there. So how can we, commit genocide in those territories we even don't control? There are no Ukrainian soldiers, no Ukrainian, whoever, nothing, no Ukrainian weapons. How would we commit this? I'll better show you the pictures, right? Later on, I have some. I'll just show you what happened there. What happened there is, as a historian, I may say this example, right? What happened there is something that happened in territory of Ukraine and Russia and all this stuff 100 years ago. Again, I repeat, because I talked to my grandmother, who was now. Sudah meninggal many years ago, but she was born in 1919. Yeah, so she remembers everything, and she told me what we were like prosperous farmers, more or less. We had 2 horses, a cow, and maybe a mill, right? So they were working and all this stuff. But as everywhere in Indonesia, I guess too, in China definitely, I know. There are some people who just don't want to work, lazy, and drinking arak, and don't want to work. How they live? They want little stealing, little cheating, all that stuff. People who were how to say, it's disrespected, sort of, right, by the people who work. I was just, oh, come on, just come. They were not killed or beaten or something, just no respect to them. Because they were useless and really lazy and all this stuff. But when communists came, these people were employed and exploited. They were given weapons, they were given powers. And then all of a sudden these people, this lazy, actually half bandits or little Penturi, yeah, they became the leaders. They became the revolutionaries, the communists. Proud of themselves, well-dressed and everything. So it was those people who started repressions against the local people, actually, because they were just revenging them. So who you are now, and who I was, and who I am, you know, all this stuff. Same thing happened in Donetsk and Luhansk regions occupied by Russia. So they came whom they needed. All the leaders of the groups, of the so-called governments, honestly, because many of them were already killed and everything, bandits. Like bandits with all these bandit tattoos and with broken noses, with gold teeth, like no, real bandits. It's not like just, you know, something like that. And because they don't care, they can kill people in cold blood. They just very decisive, so kill. No, nothing happens. This is what actually happens in Donbass now. So there are people who still want, well, I would say everyone wants peace, right? But they are deprived of their rights. If you don't stay in this house, for example, you have a flat and you left to Ukraine, you know, to escape the war, in a couple of days this flat will be, you know, like confiscated, and the local those elements, activists will live there. I have too many people in Donetsk whom I know. I have my relatives in there, used to live there. I have a lot of, like a dozen of relatives from Donetsk, because they worked in these mines. Mines. Yes, they worked in mines, coal mines. So I'm pretty sure what I'm talking about. So now nothing changes, and there is still like oppression. I would not say that there is more tortures and more killings, and it was like 8 years during these 8 years. But there is still no rights, no human rights, no law. So people just live in no law environment. Tidak ada hukum. No. Nearly every day we have the delivered reports by President Zelensky online. And how do we know that he is still in Kiev, right? Because we see the selfie he makes with himself and with the comrades, with the leadership of Ukraine, other people like Prime Minister, like Minister of Defense, like everyone. And what makes us trust he is still there, it's not like shot a month ago, because he tells things that happen just right now. For example, something was attacked, and he said, we know now Kharkiv is under attack. Civilians are dying. I'm here, stay together. Yeah, so this is true, okay? He is in Kiev, and he said very firmly, because he refused many times the United States, who wanted to evacuate him to Washington somewhere, right? He refused many times, not just once. He refused European proposals to evacuate, and even to evacuate his family. His family, like mine, stay in Kiev. I hope that the terrorists don't know where. I hope so. And I hope that the presidential family is safe, and he is safe because he... It's a very difficult question to answer. We feel a bit left alone, a bit of this. What I mean? Well, it's hard to explain. First of all, we are all very grateful to our partners worldwide, because if they do not provide us during these years with good advice, with support, with weapons, with defensive weapons, with some things, with training also, with the systematic organizing of something, so people understand a lot now, with financial aid also during last days, I think it would have been much more difficult for Ukraine to fight the strong enemy. Because after all, you compare Ukraine and Russia, you will understand how Ukraine can threaten Russia and all this stuff, but it's smaller and much smaller, and it has much smaller army. But it is one of the best armies in Europe now, in terms of experience of fighting. And That's one thing, right? Second thing, we would really expect NATO countries to provide more direct help and assistance. For example, by closing the skies above Ukraine. Like closing skies mean that, like if NATO anti-air defense will control the skies, so no aircrafts, no missiles can enter Ukraine, then this will make the on-land operation for Ukrainian army very easy, because we are better than on land, right? However, one may understand the concerns of NATO, because if you have on the opposite side, you have the madman with the nuclear weapons in hand, it's unpredictable. Many people ask me, can you feel, or can you foresee whether Putin is able of using nuclear weapons? Yes, he's able of anything. And it will not depend upon the NATO. It will not depend upon the European Union. And even not upon the Ukrainian resistance. Well, more or less it's the biggest factor, but still. He can use it any time, because he threatened already. Whoever helps Ukraine will be nuked by Russian missiles. And this is the true story, right? The support we received from the world community, moral support, strong and confident words, and the condemnation of Russian aggression on the international level, including the United Nations and in various forums, and now online everywhere in news and everything. This is very, very, very sound support. This is very good support, and they give us the spirit of to fight, because we understand we're not alone. And I would say that mention this. I would say that really I would expect more sound support from the government of Indonesia, because until now, Indonesia, even after 5 days of aggression, it's like open aggression, and the laws, the crimes against humanity, the killing civilians, all this stuff. Till now, only what we have is the statement by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, which even doesn't mention Russia. And there is no words of condemnation. It's just concern. You can be concerned before the aggression. Yes, it's okay. If it was published before the aggression, that words will be very strong. But after the aggression, it's not enough. You should name the aggressor. You should condemn the aggressor. Because, as I mentioned before, Indonesians are proud people. Yes, I think I mentioned this. No, you see, as I said already, I respect Indonesia, and I respect the spirit of Indonesian fight in previous years, and I respect the spirit of Merdeka of Indonesian people. Moreover, I really can notice and really can trace the way of the path of development of the Republic of Indonesia, the path of growing up, the path of maturing, real maturing as a nation, as a strong nation. And now I think I would not exaggerate if I say that Indonesia now is not just the regional leader, as we used to say. Because Indonesia, look at the G20 presidency, it's going global. And now I would say that despite you don't have the nuclear weapons, I think that no one really serious decision in the world might be taken without Indonesia. It's growing strong, and it's growing influential. What I mean that whatever Indonesia says loudly, it will not be ignored by no one. It might not be ignored by the United States, by China, by Russia, or anyone else in this world. you cannot just ignore one of the global powers. So what I expect of the Indonesian government to stand up and condemn the aggression in cold blood by Vladimir Putin, by Russian Federation to Ukraine. And I expect the President of Indonesia, the government of Indonesia, the Parliament of Indonesia, stand up and call upon Putin to stop the aggression. Because what we are ready, and always been ready, is the peaceful resolution of any disputes. We should sit down and talk. But you cannot sit down and talk where people are dying in the very moment because of the bombings. There is no space for negotiation when you continue bombing people. We have our own way, we have our destiny, we have our future. And we want to decide our future for us.